Real life nightmare. The buyer refuses to walk into the closing. I'm Brian Karp from Selling Smart with Brian Karp. I'm going to tell you a real life story where the buyer refused to walk into the closing table, even though the inspection went well, the appraisal came in value, they got fully funded for their mortgage, and a closing date was set. This buyer refused to walk into the closing. I'm also going to tell you exactly how to make sure this never happens to you, and you never, ever put yourself in a position where you don't have any options.
Wait, hold up! Before you watch the rest of this video, you have to download the Seller Blueprint. This is going to change your selling experience. This is going to make the difference. This is going to help you every step of the way.
This is a real story. My client went into contract, had multiple offers on their house. The buyer and them had an amazing demeanor. They shared stories together. They shared phone numbers together. The inspection went flawlessly. Not one item came up on the inspection. The appraisal came in at value. The attorneys, because we're here in New York, worked well together, and the deal was scheduled to close. The title company, the survey, everything was perfect. The buyer walked into the final walkthrough, and they looked up, and they felt that the kitchen ceiling was bowing down. Now, the seller opened up the floor plan, and they did remove some walls. It's regardless if the seller did it right or wrong. That's not the point of the story. The point of the story is until you walk out of the closing table, anything could happen. Just because you have a closing set, just because you think that the deal is done, your house is not done. So back to the story. Buyer walks in, feels like the ceiling is bowing, refuses to go to the closing, which is scheduled for later that day. Now, keep in mind, my client is lining up their whole entire move during the escrow process. So what ends up happening is they purchase another house, they close on another house. This happens all the time. This is why I tell all my Selling Smart friends and clients, do not paint yourself into a corner. So my client ended up purchasing something else. He grabbed money from other accounts. He needed to close. So this buyer walks into the final walkthrough, says the ceiling isn't perfectly straight, refused to go to the closing. Now it's crickets. We can't hear from the buyer. We're calling the buyer, we're calling their agent, we're calling their attorney, nothing. Finally, we get a call. They said they want to bring their inspector back. They bring their inspector back. Now remember guys, the inspector already inspected the house, already signed off on the house, already said everything was perfect. They bring the inspector back and he says, honestly, you need to bring in a contractor or a structural engineer. We wait, another week goes by. My client's, all of his expenses are adding up. We bring the contractor in. Another week goes by. Now we're at almost 3 weeks from when the closing date was supposed to be done. The contractor takes a week to get back to us and writes a quote of almost $40,000 of repairs. Now, the problem is the buyer, if they had an issue with the way the floor plan was opened up, they should have brought it up at the inspection. They should have brought it up before they signed the contract. The seller took their offer over other people's offers. Believe this or not, there was actually higher offers and they didn't take them because they already agreed to this offer. So now where are we today? The buyer is demanding, the buyer is trying to shake down the seller for $40,000. Now, I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong. The reason I made this video is The seller painted himself into a corner where he has to close on this property because he needs the funds. If he didn't paint himself into the corner, if he didn't back himself into the wall, he would have just said absolutely not, and they would have litigated over the down payment money. Here's another Brian Karp smart tip. Get as much down payment money as humanly possible, because if it goes to litigation, you want to be able to take or go after as much as possible. So right now, I need every single one of you to know, just because you go into contract, just because you think you sold your house, just because the appraisal's done, just because you have a closing date, it doesn't mean you are closing and you're cashing your check. Do not put yourself in the position that my client did. Nothing is done until you walk out of the closing table.
The biggest thing I'm going to leave you guys with is I've been selling real estate full-time, professionally at the highest level for almost 2 decades. I've helped over 2,000 families buy and sell. And I will tell you, the most important thing you can possibly do is hire the best real estate agent. What I'm going to do for every single one of you guys, if you reach out to the Selling Smart team, we will find you the best agent to help this be the most stress-free, enjoyable, exciting experience possible. Click the link below, and I wish you guys safe selling.